about sheltering in place in the event that there is a snowstorm or power outage? I know we've had a couple of little storms already this winter, and it's pretty typical here in New England that there might be a period of a day or two or a few hours where you might lose power in your home. Do you encourage people to prepare for that? I mean, I know you and I both try to do that and put things out, but maybe you can talk about from your point of view, fire prevention, emergency management.
So, shelter in place means a couple of things to me. One, from the firefighter side of my being, is that it's shelter in place during an active fire in a building that's designed to allow for that, that's compartmentalized, has an automatic notification system, an alarm and sensing detecting system, and typically at least a general area and public access area sprinkler system, if not a fully sprinklered. So many of our senior properties that are mid-rise buildings, numerous floors, are designed for folks to shelter in place, and they put those safety features in place to allow that. It's safer, especially for a senior population, to not be scrambling out of their room into a hallway that might already be getting some smoke exposure from a door open to a unit down the hall that's burning. And try to make it to a stairwell. They may have physical limitations, medical limitations that don't allow them to make that kind of movement out of a building. So the buildings are typically designed and protected to give them time to shelter in their room. You know, the old wet towel at the bottom of the door to help seal it off, checking knobs and staying away from that door if smoke starts to get into the main entrance. Can you go to an outside room, an outside wall, a balcony, and close doors and isolate yourself into another compartment that still allows you an area of safe refuge? And at that point, if you're starting to become endangered by smoke or heat or flame from another unit, certainly you need to be calling 911 and saying, hey, I know you're coming to the building because the alarm's going off, but I'm in apartment X, and you need to come and get me because I'm in trouble. The fire's got to be near me. And so when we get to those properties, we're checking the alarm panel and we make a quick assessment, determination of where is the fire, attack the fire to put it out, but we're also sending companies in to remove people that are in harm's way, that are immediately adjacent and above that fire. And so it's already part of our predetermined operations of how we function at these things. But a lot of it's dependent on how big is the building, how much staffing do we have, how much help is on the way that we called in. So, protecting yourself is a big deal. The same thing goes for storms and flooding. You should have at least the appropriate federal recommendations for water, food, a can opener, batteries for flashlights, blankets, ancillary ways to maybe, do heating, as in a generator that's properly equipped and installed and maybe just is big enough to power your heating system. In my house, for instance, I have a small generator that only runs a few circuits, so at least the refrigerator is going to stay powered up so I don't lose money in food, and I have food to eat. I can turn on the stove, and it runs the heating. I don't have lights, I don't have air conditioning, but at least the heat will work. My house isn't going to freeze, I'm not going to burst pipes. So if you're on a well, you're going to want the circuit for the well, to be powered. If you have a grinder pump or whatever part of your plumbing system in your home, you might want to seriously consider including that on that circuit if you can afford it. I mean, they're not cheap. You might have to save for 6-8 months before the next storm season, but it's not a bad investment, and they're pretty straightforward. You got to have an electrical professional, licensed electrician come in and make those connections so you can plug an external generator in on the outside of the house is preferable, so it's wired in and keeps things clean and simple. But there are ways to do it, and the Home Depots and all the hardware stores that sell this stuff can help you with it. But it's certainly something to consider beyond the typical extra batteries, hand crank radios, hand crank batteries.
Things to stay warm.
Additional charging systems for your cell phones as dependent and important of a tool as those become in our lives.
Right. You want to be able to make contact.
They sell these little solar panels that you can hook up and charge
Extra
things
battery.
like a cell phone.
Yeah.
And it might not get it fully charged really quick.
Yeah.
But you might be able to keep it charged well enough to where you still have a backup device.
Right.
And if the cellular network hasn't gone down because of the event, then at least you still have a way to communicate to the outside world, tell people, I'm okay, so we're not running around trying to find you to make sure you're all right because your relatives called and they're concerned.
Yeah.
But if you do have an emergency, or if it is, like some of the storms we've had recently where it's cold weather, concerns about flooding, a lot of snow building up. Maybe you don't have the ability to get out there and clear it from those vents. You might need to call somebody that can.
Right.
If you don't have family, you don't have friends, call us at the fire department.
Right.
We would rather have you call,
Yep.
and we have to kind of maybe stack those less high priority calls, those lower priority calls up, but we're going to get to them. We're going to get over and help you make sure that you're okay. So
that's good to know, that point in which you should call 911 if you're
and it
worried.
may not be a life-threatening emergency.
Right.
If you can call on the business line, if you know the business line numbers to the police or fire department, and it's a non-emergency but important issue, something you need help with, we encourage you call on that line instead.
Okay.
That way it's not tying up emergency lines.
Yep.
But if you call 911 on a cell phone, it doesn't go directly to the police station.
Right.
It goes out to the regional dispatch center. They'll relate that or transfer the caller to our local PSAP, the Public Safety Answering Point for the city of Gloucester, is at the police department. And then they in turn will contact us on issues that require our assistance with them, whether it's fire, EMS, anything that's non-law enforcement really, that's public safety kind of falls back to us, DPW. So certainly people should not hesitate to call.
Right, good. That's good to know. I mean, I know we spend a lot of time encouraging people to have what they need to shelter in place when a storm is coming, and we want you to try to be safely at home and not trying to get around on the roads and things like that, if possible. But if you are concerned, as you just said, we want to.
If you've done all the right things and now you run into a problem and you're not sure if you should stay if your home is still safe given whatever circumstances you're finding, then make that phone call. Non-emergency if it's not an emergency. If it is an emergency, 911, get outside, go in your car, make sure you're safe, then make the phone call.
Very good.
So it's pretty
good to
common
know.
sense kind of stuff. And the good thing is that's what 99.9% of folks in this town do routinely. It's actually a really easy community to serve because they do a really good job with
resilient
safety. They look after their neighbors and one another.
I've noticed, there's a lot of the community kind of looking after, checking in on family or friends or neighbors, and that's really important.
We get that all the time where the neighbors, we'll pull up and the neighbor's already over there helping that person take care of something. That we got a word from another family member that, hey, can you check on mom or dad? I haven't heard from them. They're not answering the phone. And we'll get there and the neighbor's already there. So it's a tight-knit community, which thanks to everybody out there that does that. It makes our jobs much easier. Takes a lot of the stress off when you don't have 10 additional calls that may not be emergencies, but they're important to try to get to. And while you're trying to get to those, you're getting those emergency calls in between. So during those big storm events and bad weather and lots going on all over town, I mean, we have limited resources, even though we tend to kind of stock up and hire back extra people. It's
still limited.
At the peak of chaos sometimes, it's limited resources, and you run out of folks to get over quickly. And we don't like to leave people waiting, even if it's just a concern. But if it's just a concern and not an emergency, it might wait a few extra minutes.
Fair enough. That reminds me about the city's new Rave system, it's called. It's a new emergency contact system. And I think it's really great. I mean, I know in storms or anything that's coming up that people are concerned about, you'll hear the mayor's voice. She does a great job of introducing, and you kind of know it's coming from the city, it's coming from her office. And I know that the administration and your department have done a lot of work promoting this new contact system. So can you explain just briefly briefly what it is and how people can get on it?
Yeah, so the Rave system is a system that we use internally to, it's kind of like the reverse 911, where we
Okay.
can broadcast messaging to the community in many different manners. Actually, I mean, we can send it to you on a voice call, which everyone is pretty familiar and used to.
Yep.
We can send you a text message if you've signed up. And we have
Okay.
that number for your cell phone, and we'll
Yeah.
kind of get into how you sign up in a second. Email, same thing. We can send
Okay.
you the same thing in an email. We post to Twitter, we post to Facebook, and when I say we post to Twitter and Facebook, I think right now, and I got to double check, but the Twitter feed for the fire department and the mayor are the two that we're automatically able to, if we so choose, to hit both of them, but we can access both of those through this system, as well as almost every department's, including beaches, fire, police, public health, the mayor's office, the city's official account. All of those are blanketed. The DPW, all those are blanketed as part of that, so long as we select them in the process of putting that message out. So we can hit all those mediums. We're looking at leveraging it some more to where it will automatically update to the city's website. Right now it's kind of a combined effort, by several different folks to get it on the city's website in the appropriate place or places, as well as putting it out through that Rave system. So the folks out there at home kind of see this system labeled as Smart 911.
Okay.
So it's Rave powered by Smart 911,
Yep.
which is the same company. It's two separate products really, and we are bought into both of them. The Rave is for us as a government agency to send out messaging.
Great.
We could use it for the benign things like,
Yep.
we're having a community event,
Yep.
but we as a community have chosen to not
Right.
do that with it. We have chosen to use it only for important and significant events
Yeah.
that we feel the public needs to know about. Predominantly, we've done them for the weather events,
Public
flooding,
safety and-
public
yeah.
safety related things.
Yeah.
That may expand depending on the community's feeling
Yeah.
about how they want it. We may not do it on the phone call side,
Yeah.
and we may just utilize it to help push things the same to all social media sites.
Yeah.
So the message goes out, so no matter what one you frequent, you're going to
Okay.
get the same consistent messaging.
Yep.
So for the folks at home, the way to get these messages, so when we purchased the software and worked with the company, we had every public number in the city was automatically installed into this system. But that doesn't mean that your cell phone
Okay.
and the ability to receive a text message
Yep.
or your email address, those are not part of that
Okay.
system because they're not publicly available
Yep.
in the general sense to a company to take that and just install it into our access.
Okay.
So in order for folks to get in there, we've had, about 600 different households or businesses, which may include multiple numbers, go ahead and sign up
Great.
under this system.
Yep.
So it's detailed enough that you can put your picture, the picture of your wife, your dog's chip, plans to your house,
Yep.
the medications you take. It's incredible
Wow.
the level of detail that you could input into this system.
Yep.
And I know folks at home are thinking, well, I don't want to tell the man,
Yeah.
the government, all of my business.
Right,
They
right.
don't need to know that.
Right.
And I don't disagree.
Yep.
Except in an emergency, sometimes we do need to know that, and it's
Yeah.
important for us to know it. This system, which we're in the process of going through the training, is an additional resource to our dispatchers
Yep.
that if you call 911 on your cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
it's not linked to a home address necessarily,
Okay.
except for billing, right?
Yeah.
Which may not be where you live.
Yeah.
If it's a company phone and that's the phone you use and you work in Beverly, it may be a billing address in Beverly. It doesn't help us if you call 911 and you can't breathe and you're choking,
Right.
whether because of smoke from a fire, a bee sting and you're allergic and you need help. That doesn't give us much information.
Right.
All it tells us is that we have a problem and we don't really know where to go. This new system, if you go in and sign up,
Yeah.
can actually help us in those instances.
a lot
and
more
they
information,
have
yeah.
a couple of calls and
Yep.
incidents that they use as kind of their sales pitch to encourage us to buy these things.
Yep.
But they're not wrong. They actually
Yeah.
work. It's another great tool in the toolbox for our dispatchers
No, that's
to
great.
utilize when they're trying to figure out who
Right.
you are, where you are, what is your emergency.
Right.
And if you call 911 on a cell phone and you can't really tell us who you are or where you are,
Right.
we have
It's
a
very
serious
hard.
problem.
Yeah.
You could be
Yeah.
anywhere on the planet.
Right,
And
right.
we can't
can't
sort that
help
out
you, yeah.
without hitting the cell phone company to ping that number, which
Yeah.
is a big deal
Yeah.
because now we're tracking people down.
Yeah.
That's if they're even able to do it with any reliable accuracy.
Right.
While time is not your friend.
Yeah.
When you call 911, time is against you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of the point behind it. So this
Yeah.
new system, folks need to go to the
That's-
city's website.
to the city
it's
website,
right on
okay.
the front page to be
Great.
able to sign up for Gloucester emergency alerts.
Uh-huh.
When you get in there, it tells you this is Rave powered by Smart 911.
Great.
Go in there and fill out everything that you're comfortable with, and we
Yep.
encourage you to fill out as much as you can
Okay.
because we don't have any access to any of that information until you dial 911
Yep.
with one of the phones that are listed as part of this.
Okay.
When that call comes through, the
And
computer's
then you release the
the
information.
The
as-
computer
yeah.
interrogates the phone number that's coming into the system.
Yep.
And when it sees that number,
Yep.
it reaches into the database that is maintained by this company
And shares
says,
that, yep.
we have an activated 911 emergency call for
Mm-hmm.
this number. Release that private information to us.
Yep.
That information will pop up on the dispatcher screen.
great.
Now they have access.
Yep.
I'm a system administrator on the thing. I can't get to that data.
Yep.
I can
That's
call the
good.
company
So
and
it's-
want the
yeah.
data. They
But-
can't provide me the
Right.
data. It's restricted until the user,
For
because that's
privacy,
part of
yeah.
the agreement
Yeah,
and the
that's good.
contract.
Right.
Until that user calls 911
Yep.
and it pops up on the system,
Yep.
that private information stays private and there's no
Right.
access to it.
Right. Very good. Well, that's good to know until you need it, and then it's there.
When
and,
we need it, it's there.
And if people have allergies or life-threatening conditions, there, someone in your house,
medications, allergies,
good to know.
all
Yeah.
of the things that are important for you,
Yeah.
things that you need us to know, want us to know,
Right.
You
Right.
should put in there.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
great,
encourage
it's great.
people to load house plans and everything else
Right,
because that's
right.
probably a little overkill
Little more
for
than-
what we're
yep.
going to get.
Yep.
And
But at the minimum, get your phone number in there, right? Get
yeah.
signed up so
Name,
you get
address,
these great
phone numbers,
alerts.
and not just yours. When you sign up for a household,
Yeah.
you add everybody that lives there.
Okay.
If your kids have cell phones, they should
those
be
in.
listed. If they have medical conditions, those should be in there.
Yep.
So no matter what phone calls us, because if your mom or dad and you're home with the kids and
Yep.
you happen to get hurt, injured, have a heart attack, and the kids are the one calling,
Yep.
and they're using their phone,
Right.
we're going to again get that same information. And
Mm-hmm.
some kids are great in emergencies, and others are not. No
Yep.
different than adults. So
Yeah.
the more information we can get automatically in an automated fashion simplifies things
Yeah.
over the phone. And we can spend more time giving instructions
Yeah.
on how to help the person or the situation than trying to get basic information that we might be able to pull up at our
Right.
fingertips. So
Have
it's,
it already
it's a better
there,
use
yeah.
of time
It's
during
great.
an emergency.
I mean, it sounds like a great system, and I think we're really lucky that the city's decided to go ahead with this
Yeah.
and under your leadership. And I think it's just important that we get more than we get as many folks as possible signed up on there.
Yeah, so
and
anybody
get this
that's not
information.
really tech savvy, doesn't do the
Oh, yeah.
email thing.
What if you don't have any?
If that's not your thing, you don't want it to
Yeah.
be your thing, but you have a cell phone, you have
Yeah.
home phones, and you really should do this anyway. If you go to the senior center
Okay.
and utilize one of their computers,
Someone there can help you,
They
maybe?
should be able to help you. If
Yep.
they can't, they can reach out to the mayor's office,
Yep.
and we can walk them through it. It's an extremely easy process.
Great.
So we're in the process of kind of doing quick trainings with a lot of departments that interact with folks
Yep.
that may need that help. We'll be reaching out to the housing authority to see what assistance they need and walk them through how it works so
Oh,
they
great.
can encourage their residents to go ahead and sign up as well, because
Yeah.
everybody in the community really needs to sign up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
create their own profile. And that way, if you change
Yeah.
your cell phone,
Yeah.
you just log back in and update
and
your cell phone.
update it as you go. Yep.
I like the user-driven
Yeah.
model. That's what people want.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. I like the flexibility there too to get it the different ways you might want to get the message, and I also like some of the educational information that you put out when there is an emergency or a storm coming. I know you guys have put some great links to FEMA website websites or where you can find what you should have in your shelter-in-place kit, and a lot of good information comes out that way too.
Our next step for us in emergency management is to actually get an emergency management page as part of our website, instead of it kind of being blended in multiple spots, to kind of consolidate everything that touches on emergency management and emergency preparedness under the emergency management portion of the website that was yet to come. So whether we make that its own standalone piece, because it's not, emergency management isn't its own department, it operates under the fire department. So it may be a sub-page under ours just because that's kind of how it's set up in the city's pecking order, or because of the importance of it and the frequency that people may look for it, we may choose to go ahead and segregate it. So for those of you that are looking for that, that'll be coming hopefully sooner rather than later.
All right.
Exactly
we'll watch
where
for
it
that.
is, we'll deal with that at a later time.
Good.
And I'm sure it'll be on the front page once it's new and it's up and running, to kind of bring people's attention to it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll certainly watch for that. Well, thank you, Chief Smith, for joining us today and talking about. This was a lot of great information, and I know you're going to provide some websites and this information you've gone over in more detail for people to go through as a checklist at home to make sure they're as safe and healthy as possible through these winter months.
And on the website again is my emails on there if anybody has questions, whether it's from a business, a home, residents, whoever. If you have particular questions that you're not finding the answers to on the website, I'd like to hear from you. So we can, if we're able to put it on the website and make it easy so people can get the information when they want it, then we'll add it. And if we can't do it that way, then I'll try to get you the best answer I can as quickly as I can.
Oh, that's great. Thanks a lot. That's great. Yeah, good. Well, again, we appreciate having you on the show, and I think you're going to come back in the spring at some point, talk about choking with us.
I think that's on the plan. We'll drag some of our paramedics and EMTs in here, and they'll do a little demo and put the guys under the spotlights. They love that.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, you did great, so they'll be fine too. And we appreciate viewers watching this information, because, as Eric said, whatever you can do at home to help prevent fires and problems in the first place helps your team out and the city. So, and keep you healthy and safe as well.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Yeah, good to have you.
All righty.
Okay, take care.